So basically, I have three main mentors in life and in my horsemanship career. You know, Gordon McKinley, Ian Francis, and the third one is Doug Carpenter. These three men really influenced my career, my way of thinking around horses, the horse industry, etc. And all three men kind of had a unique skill set that was almost different to the other guys as well. So I kind of combined three guys' worldly experience into me. So Doug Carpenter. Doug Carpenter was an extremely successful Western pleasure horse trainer back in the 80s, early 90s, etc. And then he kind of turned into a really high-end horse broker. So he would buy and sell really high-end performance horses, reiners, cutters, cow horses, pleasure horses, halter horses, you name it. But it was on the upper level, you know, really upper level. So the best way to describe him as being a broker, let's say you're a guy that you want a really unique Picasso painting, and you don't have time to travel all over the world figuring out where this painting is or who's got it or how much is it for sale. So you'll call an art broker and you'll say, listen, here's my budget. This is what I want to spend. I'm looking for this type of painting by this type of artist. When one comes up for sale or you find one, call me. So that broker in his day-to-day business travels all over the world to art shows, museums, etc. And when he finds that one unique painting, he'll call the buyer up and say, I found it. It's going to cost this much money. This is how we're going to ship it. This is how we're going to insure it. This is how we're going to check for its authenticity, you know what I mean, and check that it's not a fake. And you pay him a brokerage fee to do that, okay? So typically in the horse industry, 10% is a typical brokerage fee, okay? But you would pay somebody to go find this horse or that painting, you know. So that's what Doug kind of did. And I hired him for many, many years to do that. He found all of my good horses as a general rule, because it was cheaper for me to pay him to travel all over the country and the world finding these horses rather than me have to stop what I'm doing and try to go find them. And not only that, I wasn't as good at picking them as what he was. So that's kind of what he was for most of his career that I knew him, was a really high-end broker. I first met Doug in person at the Quarter Horse Congress when I was showing Diaz as a 3-year-old. So that's going back quite a while now. I knew who Doug Carpenter was because I knew that he bought a lot of good horses for a lot of the great horsemen, Bob Avila at the time. So I knew who he was, I knew what he was about, but I never actually got to meet him. And he actually walked up to me, and I didn't know this, but he had kind of kept the track of my career. And right about this time, I was starting to get some national traction. I'd been on RFT TV, I was in Horse Illustrated magazine, starting to get in Horse and Rider. I was starting to get some national attention as a clinician. So Doug was always really good about following who was doing what and who was doing the best shit. So he actually walked up to me in the warm-up pen and introduced himself. I'm Doug Carpenter. He handed me a business card. He was very friendly, very welcoming, and said if I ever, want to do any business or need anything, don't hesitate to give him a call. Made me feel very welcome. And it's ironic, because at that horse show, I was very much an outsider. And nobody else would talk to me at this horse show. None of the other professional trainers, nobody else made me feel welcome. Like I was literally like an outsider leper, okay? Doug was the only one that treated me good, invited me, making me feel welcome. And, from there we formed a great friendship, and we also formed a great business relationship, and I probably did, a couple $1 million worth of business with him over two decades, And it's funny how Doug always had an attitude of, he always was very welcoming new people to an industry. Whether you looked like you came from money and the way you were dressed or what you drove, to you wearing flip-flops and shorts and you didn't have a pot to piss in, he treated everybody the same. He treated everybody warm, welcoming, because he always told me, he said, you'd be amazed how many filthy rich people are out there that don't dress filthy rich. They had shorts and flip-flops, and their money's as green as anybody else. But if you don't take your time to be friendly and invite everybody that you come to contact with, you'll miss out on some really good customers. So that was kind of unique to Doug there, very welcoming to new people. So that's initially how I got to meet him.